menacing, ominous, deadly. Those are the kind of words you might expect to describe a Vanduul heavy fighter, and the freshly launched Esperia Stinger tries to cash in on that reputation with their new variant of this alien ship. Armed to the teeth with a variety of weapons, bolstered by some heavy fighter defences, and the Stinger is pitched at giving some competition to the likes of the F8 Lightning, but with a Vanduul flavour. I'm Forrester, and this video will review the currently flyable Esperia Stinger, which is described on the Star Citizen website as a heavy fighter. If you've seen other ship reviews on this channel, then you may recognise the format of this video. It's split into 5 sections, starting with a ship tour, assessing combat performance, reviewing handling and visibility, looking at the operating costs and profitability, before finally summarising. As always, I've included timestamps in the video description in case you want to skip ahead, and if you're one of the many people watching who isn't yet subscribed to the channel, you might consider it, not least so you can keep up to date when new ship reviews like this drop. And this review of the Stinger is based on performance in Star Citizen Alpha 4.3. And we'll start the tour of the Stinger by approaching from the rear starboard side. This is where the ramp access to get aboard the ship is. Pressing the button opens everything up like a set of creepy ribs, and then a walkway leads up into the ship itself. It's particularly tall, I guess owing to the size of the Vanduul. You enter into this temple of evil, where there's a button on the wall to close the rear ramp. You can then walk up the rear ramp to the rear of the ship, although there's not much to see. On the starboard side is a weapons rack for 2 large and some small weapons, and on the port side is a fuse relay station. To get into the pilot seat, you clamber onto prone position onto this little train, which brings you forward into the cockpit. You may need to brace yourself as the Stinger carries a long list of weapons. There are 2 size 2s and 4 size 4s, all defaulting to light strike laser cannons, which can be swapped out to preference. There's also a size 5 hard-locked Roth cannon, the same as is found on the Glaive, albeit with an updated visual model. That cannon hits satisfyingly hard, but sometimes having all of the different weapons line up with the right convergence can be a challenge. Setting fire groups can be a big help, as can simply moving closer. In the stock loadout, putting maximum power to weapons is critical to allow for a somewhat reasonable level of charge. The Stinger is further armed with 16 size 2 missiles. Whilst the missiles can be swapped out to preference, the launchers are hard locked, so it's size 2 only. As the Stinger is a single-seater, all of the weapons fall under pilot control. Defensively, the fighter carries 2 size 2 shield generators, which is on a par with most of the other heavy fighters. That said, sticking around too long and taking damage is not a good plan with the Stinger, as losing either wing makes the craft very difficult to control, and the wings seem easily lost. When things do go wrong, the claim timer is fairly long at 25 minutes or 6 minutes expedited. But altogether, that's a strong package for dishing out damage, especially against fighter-sized craft. Visibility in the Stinger is good to the front, sides and below, but unusually for a fighter, not so great above. That said, the ship isn't too big and the cockpit is right at the front, so most manoeuvres are just fine. At SCM speeds, the limiter sits at 207 meters per second, rising to 440 under boost conditions. That's a similar base to the F8 Lightning, but the Stinger is noticeably slower in the turn. Weirdly, that feels somewhat appropriate, as if being a more lumbering predator is in keeping with the Vanduul theme, but that doesn't make life any easier for getting nose on target. Nav speeds top out at 1050 meters per second, which means the Stinger will be outrun by some of the more nimble fighters. Strangely, that top speed also bleeds very quickly when changing direction, perhaps more quickly than might be expected. Also, surprisingly, the stock quantum drive is fairly reasonable and gives the Stinger good range. The Stinger currently has the regular quantum travel effect though, no special alien style at this time. Insofar as running costs are concerned, expect repair bills to run into the low thousands, refueling probably into the hundreds of credits, but depending on loadout, restocking costs could be higher. For example, missiles come in at about 5,000 credits each, so costs rack up quickly. As a heavy fighter, the Stinger has no cargo grid to store physicalized cargo, although enterprising players might be able to get something loose into the well of the ship. The natural option for making money with the Stinger is therefore combat contracts, whereby the Stinger does well at taking out NPC fighters and can manage to take out some larger ships dependent on pilot skill. The weapons rack also hints at the possibility of using her as a bunker runner, albeit without the backup of any medical support. In terms of upgrades for the Stinger, many will be tempted to swap out the stock weapons to preference, with ballistic weapons being popular. Personally, I'd rather like the default laser loadout, but if keeping energy weapons, a power plant upgrade goes a long way. As an alien ship, the Stinger has many qualities that are a bit weird, a bit different. The pilot sits forward in prone position in the Vandal style, and the entry animation to the rear of the ship is foreboding, even when switching from hostile red to creepy blue. The staggered lights on the spine of the ship make it seem like it's breathing, and the gurgling noise it makes always feels like the Stinger is hungry for victims. Even the headlamp up front is red. That said, of all of the alien ships, the Stinger somehow feels the most normal? Maybe it's the shape of it at least. The Stinger usually gets placed in a medium hangar, meaning wait times at stations are often a little longer than smaller fighters, and the weapon convergence is not ideal, making necessary some changes to the stock loadout to have the ship work well. Whilst the physical interior suggests that in future limited repairs may be possible, at the moment all that's visible are 2 fuses. As a newly released ship, at time of recording there is no in-game price as yet for the Stinger, which means the only option is to pick it up for real cash at a cost of $315, or as a referral reward, or to wait of course to see if it becomes available in-game. Not all of the alien ships are, and those that do go for sale, like the Blade, can be very expensive. So the Stinger is very expensive. Contrast that purchase price to some of the multi-crew ships like the Constellation or the Corsair, and the Stinger just isn't as useful in comparison. An element of that is certainly an alien tax, that is to say the price paid for something unique, but it's not where the bang for the buck is. All in all, the Stinger brings something cool, something fun, but for this reviewer would be a skip as it's just currently too expensive. But what do you think of the Stinger? I look forward to reading your thoughts in the video comments. If you enjoyed this video, you might press the like button to let me know to make more ship reviews in future, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you might like to do that too, so that YouTube knows to show you more videos like this in future. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.